Good morning from downtown beautiful Blue Ridge. It's a beautiful June morning here. We come to you every Friday morning throughout the summer at the shops at Sycamore Crossing every Friday morning. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, let me give you some information. If you'd like to be a guest on our show on Fridays, play music, whatever, interesting stories. I have something I'm going to talk about after the first break. We're going to have some guests here next Friday. We're planning some guests for next Friday for something big that's going on next weekend right here in Fannin County, okay? No monkey business. That is a clue. Next Saturday is an open house, no monkey business. That's the clue. We'll talk about it after we get into one of our segments this morning. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from downtown Blue Ridge. If you'd like to be on the show at any time on Friday morning, 706-889-9700, 706-889-9700, or chief@fetchernews.com. Come on down, be a part of the show. Get in touch with me on Friday mornings. We're going to be here all summer long. Great location. One thing we have noticed here, and this is our third week, Friday morning, third week, downtown beautiful Blue Ridge, we hear the city workers cleaning the streets. We see the garbage trucks. We see the delivery trucks. We have found out at 10:45 in the morning, we're here to 11 at 10:45. We hear the train, the whistle of the Blue Ridge Railroad over here, the train on Friday mornings at 10:45. Folks, you have to bear with me. I am just getting used to not being in the office every day, getting out here on Fridays, seeing the people walk their dogs up and down the street. They're jogging the morning and what takes place here in Blue Ridge. I'm just getting used to that, so bear with me. Several guests this morning. Scott Farrell, right? Farrell or Farrell? What do you do, Lonnie? Scott Farrell. Scott Farrell will be with me this morning. He is a behavioral specialist, and obviously, what better of a well, we'll ask him to look over Lonnie this morning. I was last week, right, Lonnie? So, okay, Lonnie doesn't have a mic, but he's here with me. But Scott Farrell will be with us this morning around 9:30. Hey, what about young athletes and fitness training? We have a special segment on athletic fitness training this morning. You don't want to miss this. We're going to have that, I think, at 10 o'clock this morning. I didn't look at the schedule, but athletic fitness training this morning. We're going to have a special on that. We have a professional coming in. Also, I will have Rick Glickard's going to come up and spend about a half hour. We're going to talk about gun control. Now, we've had a rough week, okay? We've had a rough week here. We have Orlando. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families, the ones in the hospital that are recovering from Orlando. It's been a long week, all right? And, you know, yesterday the president said our thoughts and prayers were just not enough anymore. It's just not enough. But, you know, we're starting to learn all these things that are coming out about Omar. Omar had time to go in this nightclub and text his wife. Now, I told you earlier in the week, the first narrative that came out of this, Omar is gay. Omar's dad thought he was gay. Omar's ex-wife thought he was gay. That was the first narrative they were trying to play out of this because it was a gay bar. And they were trying to change the direction that you and I would look at this tragedy in our country. Not radical terrorism, not radical Islamic terrorism, not Islamic period, because they continue, and they, not me, they continue to get up and tell us that Islam is a peace-loving religion. I personally am not finding that at this time, considering all the terrorist attacks that are taking place, and they continually link back to somebody yelling Allah Akbar and Islamic religion and the imam or the mosque that they're worshiping at. So I'm yet to see that. But let me get past that. Did the FBI miss this? Now, they had an interview with the guy that owns the gun shop. Omar goes into the gun shop and he wants to buy protective gear, bulletproof vest, right? But the guy turns him down, and he thinks there's something suspicious about Omar wanting to buy protective gear. So he calls the FBI. He says, hey, I think there's something up with this guy here that came into my shop that wants to buy protective gear. Maybe you should look at it. Are we concerned on how, what's our priority, offending somebody or safety? I mean, Omar went into the shop, asked for a bulletproof vest. The gun owner said, I think I should report this. Is our FBI looking at being concerned that they're going to offend somebody? Is that what's taking place? How are you on this political correctness? Concerned about offending somebody? Are we asking our CIA, FBI, our Department of Justice, are we being asked to not identify anybody when a Muslim goes into a store to buy a bulletproof vest? That's racially identifying. Well, I'll tell you what, I know a lot of families this morning that wish that Omar, when the FBI was called, was detained a little while longer, and that's just the facts of it. All these things we're finding out. Omar had time to go in the club. He had time to text message his wife. Remember the narrative, he's gay, but he had time to text message his wife, say, I love you, babe, or something like that, right? Omar had time to post on Facebook. Omar had time to go into the restroom. Omar had time to call a TV producer. Omar had time, I think, to call a radio station. Omar had a lot of time to do a lot of things. Why did not somebody shoot and kill Omar within the club? A gun-free zone. I'm just saying, Omar had a lot of time. What we are finding out now. Now, the one thing that the president always says to us, the American people, it's not him, it's you. These senseless acts of violence are going to continue if you don't do something about it and pass some sort of sensible gun control to take assault rifles off the streets. You know, no fly, no buy. That's what the Democrats are saying on the floor. No fly, no buy. If you're on the no fly, no buy. If you're on a terrorist watch list, no buy. You cannot go into a gun shop and buy. Okay? Now, I would like to know if somebody could look up for me the gun show, the related gun show purchases that resulted in tragedies and massacres in this country. I'd like to see the statistic. You see, Omar didn't go to the gun show and buy an AR-15 from a guy that just wants to sell his gun collection. The majority of gun shows in the United States, one, the person or the group that puts on the gun show, okay, requires, I think they do, requires all of their participants, their vendors, to be licensed and to be legitimate arms dealers, as you might say, gun dealers, okay? I think you can identify yourself as, you know, I just want to sell these 3 guns from my grandfather's collection. I think you can, I'm not for sure. But these licensed vendors go to these shows, they set up, and they follow every rule as if you walked in the store. Background checks, paperwork, everything. So it's the gun show loophole. That would have saved. Please, people, take a piece of paper and write this down. The gun show loophole, according to our government, that would save lives in America. Okay? That would save lives. The AR-15 assault rifle ban, to ban assault rifles to go back, that would save lives in America. To make sure if you're on a no-fly list, accidentally or whatever, that would ban and change and save lives in America. To make sure if you're on a terrorist watch list, okay, That would save lives in America. Nobody. You have all these lists that the government said will save lives in America. I want to ask you this morning, did you hear in the list anywhere about unemployment in the inner city, in the black male population, the drugs in the inner city, in the black male population, the illegal guns that are being sold in the inner cities? If we would do something about that, okay? Something about that, all right? That would save lives in America. No, you don't hear about that. President Obama comes out and he stands at the podium and he says, you know what he says, folks? He says, here's what he says. He says, I am tired. This is passionate for me. I am tired of these massacres in our schools, massacres in our places of worship, massacres in our theaters. The list goes on that he is tired of. But he doesn't add to the list the little 12-year-old girl sitting on the stoop in Chicago this weekend, eating an ice cream, and a drive-by with an illegal gun from a gang member that's probably got loaded with drugs, shoots and kills that 12-year-old. See, he's not tired of that, folks, because that's not political, and that will not get him a third term in the White House. That he doesn't add to the list. See, I am so upset that 49 people were killed senselessly in Orlando. I am so upset over that. I want to ask you this morning, will you go on Google and just look up the deaths in Chicago this past year? Just look up the deaths in Philadelphia. Now, it's more important in Philadelphia this morning to pay extra tax on soda. It's more important to raise money and bring awareness. You know, I always love when they're bringing awareness to me, okay? It's much like I'm not aware of anything until you bring awareness to a problem. Well, thank you very much, government, for bringing awareness to a problem for me, okay? Thank you. I got to stop this morning and say thank you. But they're always bringing awareness to me. So they're going to bring awareness to the people that travel into Philadelphia, and they're going to make them aware of what these heavy, sugary drinks are doing to their bodies, and they're going to bring awareness by taxing it. That'll fix you. Go Google this morning, drug deaths in Philadelphia. Go Google this morning, murders, gangs, all the above in Philadelphia. But let's focus. Now, the president says, it's not me, it's you. That's exactly what he came out yesterday. He said, it's not me. He has tried. If you do not pass sensible gun control, if you continue to allow, absolutely, folks, let's just call it like it is. The president of the United States come out yesterday after meeting with 49 people, not 49 people, the survivors in the hospital and the families of the 49. After meeting them, he comes out yesterday and he says, these attacks will continue if you don't do something about it. See, it's you. It's not him. It's never him. Folks, a couple things this morning before we go to our first break, get into our guest. We're going to be doing a couple things. I told you Scott Farrell got it right this time. Scott Farrell will be with us here. You're going to really enjoy that. Scott and I are kindly a contrast to each other. Would you agree, Lonnie? Yeah, Lonnie's agreeing, okay? So we have a whole lot of fun. If you want to tune in on Friday and have a whole lot of fun with us, you want to stay here with us when Scott shows up. We're going to be talking about athletic training. Athletic training, I'm telling you, I have a place that they are doing targeted athletic training that's above all that's going on in North Georgia. You wait till we get into this conversation. I think that's at 10 o'clock. You know what I don't like? I don't like litter. I don't like it. I don't like it just thrown out on the ground. I don't like it thrown out on the side of the roads. We're going to talk about litter for a minute. I know that's litter. Yes, we're going to talk about that just for a moment and what's going on as far as trying to combat litter or change the thought of throwing something out the window or litter here in Fannin County. We're going to talk about that for a minute. But before we go to our break, I'm not in the studio, so I don't have the clock in front of me or nothing, so I have no idea. Lonnie, what time is it? What does this mean? I have 10 minutes? So, considering I still have 10 minutes till 8:30, folks, I'm here behind me, Tupelo Tea. Now, they still have the sign up. Hold on just a minute. They're not open yet, okay? They're getting very close, very close. I will tell you this. I know Tom and Donna, they will not open the door to the public and start selling their product until they make sure that it is ready and there's a quality product ready for you. I'm telling you, I can't wait. Tea, it's the only thing. On Fridays, that's a new rule. Write it down. I don't want to see any other beverage on this set at all other than Tupelo Tea on Fridays. Lonnie's not paying attention to nothing this morning. You can't see it. Now, we're at the shops here at Sycamore Crossing. I got Quinte, the Peruvian store, New Blue Home and Gift, and Broken Bull. I got this jacket at Broken Bull. We're going to be talking to them a little bit later. They say they have some clothes they want me to try on. We'll see about that. Broken Bull over here on the corner. Couple announcements. Tomorrow, 7th annual. Your host, I've been to all 6 in the past. I have not missed this for 6 straight years, and this will make 7. The Pickens County Republican Party Tomato Sandwich Picnic, folks. And I must say, they guarantee there'll only be Duke's mayonnaise. That's a promise. Duke's mayonnaise, that's it. The Pickens County Republican Party Tomato Sandwich Picnic. I understand Secretary of State Brian Kemp will be there. I understand Casey Cagle, the Lieutenant Governor, will be there. Several other, I think, on the guest, I think Congressman Doug Collins might be stopping by. Several more of your local representatives and state representatives, national representative with Doug Collins stopping by. That's tomorrow. That's at the community center in Pickens County from 11 to 2. 11 to 2. I got to add in there, it's called the also Tomato Sandwich Picnic in Fiesta. They have a taco bar also. Throw that in. I'm sorry, I can't get past the tomato sandwich with Duke's mayonnaise and pepper. A taco bar. 11 to 2, that's on Camp Road in Pickens County there in Jasper at the community center. Get in touch with me, 706-889-9700. Say, hey, Saturday morning, BKP, I heard about this tomato sandwich picnic. I don't know how to get there. Call me, 706-889-9700, and I'll talk you in. Also, email me, chief@fetyournews.com. What have I been telling you for weeks? Weeks. Who did this on the show months ago and told you to keep an eye on Puerto Rico? I'm going to talk about an article in the Chicago Times that says Porto, Illinois. Who told you that? That's right. I told you that. Exactly. Right here on this show. Puerto Rico. Told you to watch for it. It was going to open the door. Chicago Times article, Porto, Illinois. And what does that mean? I told you the state of Illinois ended their state session, okay, legislative session, without passing a budget. Why not? Well, why pass a budget when you're in such a deficit? You cannot pay your pensions. You cannot pay basically anything you have. You cannot even fund your schools. But it's for the children. How will the government be able to turn down the children and giving money so that we can open the schools in Illinois, the poor little children? It's not a concern about shooting them on a weekend, but we got to get them in the school, all right? That being said, Illinois has been waiting, lawmakers, I know for a fact they've been waiting for the government to do something with Puerto Rico so they could do something. Hey, whatever happened to that debt in California? You remember that? I mean, it was every night on the TV. California was going to fall off the edge of the West Coast. It was so far in debt, and they were taking video of U-Haul moving vans where people were leaving California and the taxes were going through the roof, and tax, and And California was a mess. There was no way. They were a grease every night on the news. Then all of a sudden, Jerry Brown's out there. Seems like California's doing fine. I don't hear anything about the debt. Could the Federal Reserve take our money, yours, and maybe help California with us not being aware of it? Huh. How come they haven't missed any bond payments or it's been on the front page of the news? Interesting. Illinois, California, Puerto Rico, watch and see. Hey, by the way, Game 7, right? NBA. Now, you're thinking, I'm wondering if a guy could score 40 points. I could care less. I could get straight out there. I could care less. I think it's humorous, though, that these multi-millionaires, they're flying back to, where is they play? I don't know, somewhere in California. I ain't paying attention. Here's what I do know, is they have to pay the 13%, what they call jock tax on their earnings, because Game 7 is landing in California, and that means the bells and whistles are going off up there at the state capitol with Jerry Brown. I think it's 13% these multimillionaires have to pay, called the jock tax on their earnings in California. Don't you just love it? I know I do. All right, I have one more thing, and I almost forgot it, but I haven't forgot it, but I can't remember it. So what's that mean? I'm at a loss? That's what that means. Put it all together. Write that down, Lonnie. I want you to start bringing a piece of paper so you write all these great things that I say that I need to remember. Folks, the jock tax in California, but the one thing I didn't want to forget, if you're having your shiny little gold hubcaps on your private jet shined up, don't worry, the multimillionaires are going to pay that tax. But you and I in Georgia, it's on our back, thanks to our state legislators in 2019, because if you can afford to go to the Super Bowl and you can afford to fly in on your private jet, then you could, not afford the tax, you could be exempt from it in the state of Georgia. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Good morning from downtown Blue Ridge. This is beautiful. I love the start of the morning up here on Friday mornings. Come up and visit us. I'm going to have another great lunch over here at Harvest on Main. I keep going over. Seems like I go to Harvest on Main every Friday after the show. The noise is going to start. People are going to start walking around. We're going to watch this town wake up on Friday morning. FetcherNews.com. I don't know what else to do, Lonnie. I mean, I did the whole show there at 30 minutes. That's pretty good. I'm your host, BKP. We'll be back after these brief messages. Lonnie, take